Special educators help kids with life transition. So that's a transition from maybe 5 years old into kindergarten, elementary to junior high to high school, and then most importantly is that post-school, learning how to go off and get a job and be successful in life. I should say special ed goes to age 22, so you have kids that are still in school at 22.
Yeah, I just wanted to share, that was a cool thing. I taught special ed high school, so you have to, as you alluded to, Dr. Glaeser, you have to help with that transition. So I remember I had some real cool experiences. One of my students, his parents, he was not deaf, but both of his parents were deaf. So he was really good at interpreting. So we went and went to different interpreting services that had jobs, and we got him a job as an interpreter. It paid really good money. I think they like $25 an hour, I think, right out of high school he got. And it was cool, you know. So, like, not only do you get to know the families, you kind of counsel, but in that situation, I was kind of like a job coach or helping, just helping with it. So it's different. It's not just teaching. It kind of has a little bit of everything, which I like. I like kind of having experience with different things.
See, you help them find their talent.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's cool.
Maybe they don't know what they're good at. Help them find what they're good at. That's awesome. Yeah, interpreters make good money. So if you want to take sign language, and then you go to things like, all kinds of cool events and graduations, conventions. If you want like a convention, you can go and be the translator there. And I know they make a lot of money. At the Museum of Tolerance, they had 3 interpreters, because I was with a group of deaf people, with a professor from Cal State Northridge who teaches deaf ed. They have to have more than one at a site though, because I think they can only work for 20 minutes because their hands are tired.
Yeah, there's limitations. We've had some. I don't know if any of you had deaf students in your classes. You have. Okay, so yeah.
There's 2 of them, and they switch out interpreting to the student.
Yeah, if the class goes on our campus, if the class goes over 2 hours, I think they have 2. Under 2 hours, 1 is allowed.
The class is all like an hour and a half.
And they still have 2?
They still have 2.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Because they're finger spelling something.
Yeah. So maybe it's 20 minutes then.
Yeah, I don't know what the limit is. I'm just trying to guessing from what I watched, but it seemed like they were switching maybe every half hour. And special educators advocate for their students and teach their students how to advocate for themselves. And I was disappointed in my son's school system. He really didn't learn how to advocate. They seemed to pay more attention to the high achievers where he was. It was very frustrating. I did a lot of fighting with them. I even had a vice principal say, well, I said, you need social skills. I said, we don't do that. I said, it's not an IEP. You have to do that. So I had to go through lawsuits. It was awful. When he got to community college, he learned how to be a student. I just blessed the community college. They were amazing. He went to Fullerton. I said, start with 1 class, take something fun, learn how it works. The advantage of the college level, and I wish it was true in high school, is the teacher's there before and after class, usually. And after class, you can stop and ask questions. At a high school, it's you're out. I got the next group coming in. You're out of here. 5 minutes, you got to get to the next class. If you're lost or you don't have your stuff, or the teacher said something you didn't catch, you're in trouble. If you have fine motor problems, like I went to back to school night and there was a schedule on the wall. I said, how come he doesn't write that down? And he said, I didn't know it was there. That's a typical learning disability. I told the teacher, you need to cue him. And the teachers all said he has wonderful behaviors. He's a great kid. Well, that's because he's sitting there going, I don't know what's going on. He's totally clueless. It was better for them to have someone who was quiet and not disturbing the class than someone who knew what they were doing. And I said, have you ever questioned him? No. I said, have him in front. Don't let him sit in the back in space. So we had to really work on those things. But when he got to the community college, he said, I'm so lost in this class. I said, guess what? On your syllabus, it says the teacher has office hours. And when you go to that office, he's going to be sitting there waiting for somebody to come by, because sometimes students don't come. They usually text or send emails, and he'll tell you what you need to know. And that worked. We did the social story, go in, ask for this. And he came back, he said, now I get it. Get a whole paper for that. So that was really a great opportunity. And then they had, they used to call it disabled student services. Now they call it disability support, which I like much better. And you go in and you find out you get more time on a test, or you get a place to type your answers, those kind of things. It's really wonderful, and they're very, very supportive. So different from the high school. I wish we had that type of support in high school, but we don't. So teaching kids to advocate, to ask for what their accommodations are and how to ask for those accommodations in a nice way, and at work and at school. So that's something you have to be able to help your kids do. And special educators serve as a resource to their schools. Sometimes, especially if you're in mild moderate, you'd be the one that the teachers come to and say, what's happening with this kid? Can you come watch him? And I remember a funny one. A second grade teacher said, this kid is so lost and his parents are mad at me. They were lawyers, so they were on her case all the time. Why isn't he succeeding? He wasn't. So I said, okay, I'll come watch. But when you're up in front of the class or you're leading the lesson and you're doing all this, you're not behind and you don't see what's going on. So I had that luxury because I could come and sit behind. I'm watching him and he's sitting next to this kid, and there's this kid next to him that's pulling stuff out of his desk and going, look at this, and playing with toys, and the boy's looking down at the toys, and the teacher didn't realize it. He had all kinds of weird stuff in the desk. What's going on here? So he was the problem, not this one. And I said, you gotta move that kid somewhere where he's not near anybody because he's a distraction. So she did that and she said, oh, things are fine, that's great. So you're the resource. Or someone could come and say, oh, I had another really interesting story where it was a child who had attention deficit disorder, and it was classic. He was in first grade, couldn't learn to read, couldn't focus, couldn't pay attention. Reading was a struggle. So we talked to mom, and mom said, yeah, the doctor said he probably should be on medication, but I don't believe in it. I said, okay, take a deep breath. We got to deal with this. So the year kind of progressed, and it was hard, really hard for him to focus. We did all the accommodations we could think of. It was still a struggle. So the second grade teacher came to me and said, I'm going to get that kid. Oh my gosh, I don't want that kid. He's going to be awful. I hear he can't learn, can't read, can't learn. I said, don't worry, we'll help you. We're here as me and the speech and language teacher and the psychologist. We're going to help him. We'll do what we did this year, yada, yada. So after about 2 weeks of school, she was in the lounge, and I said, so how's he doing? And she said, he's amazing. You guys are liars. You're so full of baloney. I mean, he's nothing like you described. He's wonderful. He sits down. I mean, I had observed him, and he'd stand up late on the wall. He could not sit in a group, on the floor like they did in first grade. He would just wander around. He was on target with everything. I said, that's weird. That's not the kid I saw last year. So I called mom and said, hey, we just wanted to know how's he doing at home, because he's doing great at school. And she said, oh my gosh, this summer he drove me insane. He would come in and say, when's dinner, when's dinner, when's dinner? Grabbing her legs, she said, bugging her. She said, I couldn't stand it anymore, so I put him on medication. So I finally called the doctor and said, okay, we'll try it. And things are better. So it's like, oh, that's nice, that's wonderful. So I'm not saying medication's the answer for every kid, but it worked for that guy. So sometimes we're the resource, we're the one that people comes to and, help us. We don't know what to do with this child. Special educators are communicators, collaborators, team leaders, movers, and shakers. So you are really an important person in the school. And sometimes the only special ed teacher at the school. So you're the one, who's got to be the master of all these things. And then there's other career paths. For example, you went into community college teaching, so there's so many other pathways, and I went into college teaching. You could start as a paraeducator. You could try it out. Somebody in here said they were a para. Yeah, so you're already doing that. Start as a para. It's a great pathway to go into be a teacher. You learn all about the classroom and you can watch and not have to worry. You get to try it all out without having to be the one who's responsible for it. A behavior specialist, that's the one who helps all the other teachers do it. Adaptive PE, that's the person who helps the kids with the physical disabilities. Occupational therapist helps them with job skills. Audiologist, vision specialist, speech and language, interpreter, you mentioned interpreter, a job coach, and a special ed administrator. So all those pathways, or just go back into general education if you're interested in that. So is it worth it? I think so. Most of us become teachers because we love to inspire young people, or we've had, in special ed, many of the people I interview say, I have a sibling with a disability, or I know someone with a disability, I have a disability, or I had a great teacher. That's the other answer. So those are the four things that I hear the most often. We love inspiring young people to love learning as much as we do. All of us love the aha moment when a student's world expands just a little bit because of something we've taught them. And when you can take a kid from reading at 3rd grade level to 7th grade in 1 year, which I did, it's like, yes, I gave this kid a ticket to a good job and going into the general ed classroom forever. As a special education teacher, I found that these moments are more phenomenal because often the students don't even know that they're capable of learning, and that is so true, especially if they've had school failure. High school is the toughest because they've had so many years of school failure. When you help a student who thinks they can't learn to achieve things far beyond what they ever dreamed possible, you feel like you can fly, and it's amazing. That's Megan Mathis, a special ed teacher. And if you want more information about our program, let me know. We have a program that we just started. The state of California has instituted a 4-year program where you can get a degree in child and adolescent studies and a credential in 4 years. So when you walk across the stage in graduation, you are then able to get a job right away in a school. The way it is now, you have to get a BA and then go at least 1 more semester. You could start a little earlier, but at least 1 more semester. So this program is called an integrated program, and some of the courses are not offered here, but you're going to check it.
Yes, yeah. I'm going to see.
So I know CAS 101, there's an equivalent for that one here, but CAS 201 and SPED 371, you don't have an introduction special?
Right, yeah.
Okay, so those, you might have to go to Fullerton College or one of the other community colleges. I think Fullerton's the closest. But your school is working on developing a child and adolescent studies major, which would be awesome. So I'm hoping they do that because that would be an easy pathway. But if you're interested, this is the program. We passed out the brochure for it. But if you're just interested in going through the traditional route, especially if you're already a parent, that would be perfect for you. Just go on our website. You can contact me or you can contact Tiffany. She's in charge of the moderate program, which is where we need the most teachers, but we always need moderate and early childhood, or moderate, severe, and early childhood as well. So, questions?
Can I just interject one thing? So regardless of whether you actually go to be specifically a special education teacher, in the general population, you will have students who have, IEPs and things like that. So even for me, I learned about how to, meet the needs of my students, not only because my credential program taught me that, but also because, I had students in my classroom and I would be like, well, why isn't this student, showing success or experiencing success when he's working so hard? And then we find out he has an IEP and there's modifications and things like that. So you're gonna still need to know, regardless of where you teach, or what type of teacher you are, how to make these accommodations for your students.
This is true. I should have.
That's a good point.
I wanted to show you the one slide that I didn't put in that presentation. This is, I don't know why this got messed up, but one of the things I've been doing is presenting at Comic-Con with my students. And this is a teacher, Brenda Bush, and she teaches kids with autism. And at Comic-Con, if you use comics in teaching, which is a fun way to teach, especially for those visual kids, you can present for free, and you get to go to Comic-Con for free, which is a blast. But anyway, in her situation, she started using graphic novels to replace some of the normal books that kids were using to write reports because they hated them, of course. And she found that these books were much more appealing to them. And other kids started, I don't want to say normal, but kids without disabilities noticed the books and said, hey, what are you reading? That looks cool. How come you're reading that? Or I like that book. And of course, getting kids with autism to mingle with other kids is really hard because you have to pull them in, right? In this case, she didn't have to do anything. They sat in the library and the other kids would come over and start communicating with them. They would talk with each other. The kids would invite them to come to clubs with them. And she was like, wow, I can't believe it. So we got to present that in a poster at Comic-Con. That was fun. So I got to do that. And then you can't see my son, but here he is. We're with Lego Batman. And that's my favorite comic artist, Lalo Alcaraz. He worked on the movie Coco recently. He was a cultural expert. He does a comic called Cucaracha. He signed my Dreamers poster. But anyway, that's an advantage that you could take advantage of if you're a special ed teacher. Just thought I'd throw that in there. So, any questions? Anything about our program that you're interested in? You have to have a 2.75 grade level to get in. We do have assessments you have to take. That's nobody likes them, but, if you know, as you work through your BA, you take a lot of courses that will help you with that. You just have to know how to do reading, writing, and math, that's how it works. And then we have you take the multiple subject CSET if you haven't heard of that. Don't worry about it, because we have tutoring and things like that that can help you. We really want you to succeed. And then you take 3 prerequisite courses, and those are what you can take at the community college. Then you enroll, and you're on your way. And it's a 1-year program. It's 2 semesters. Both semesters you're in a classroom. We give you a co-teaching experience so that you learn how to co-teach with a general ed teacher. That's a big thing now, especially for mild, moderate to do co-teaching. And that means you're both teaching together. One's the expert on special ed, one's the expert on the content and the actual curriculum. And then the second semester you're in a special ed, more of a special education environment. So it's fun. And you're done, you're a teacher. Questions? Okay, hope to see you at the interviews. Yeah.
So with the placements, are they all, do you get to choose whether it's high school, middle school, or?
Well, you can choose the level. You can ask for the level, yeah.
Okay.
In the first semester, we generally don't want junior high or high school, and that's because there's a huge reading emphasis in the beginning. Many kids with learning disabilities, which is the majority in mild moderate, or even kids with mild autism, reading's a problem, and they're usually reading at like 4th or 5th grade level, which is sad because we know now how to fix that, but it still happens. And we find that in high school, they're still reading at that elementary level. So it's better for you to have that experience in elementary school. How do I teach reading well at that level? And then the second semester, you can teach them whatever. You could be at a high school, middle school, elementary, or an agency. You could, if you're doing birth through 3, you could look in the home. You go into homes and work with parents. So it's fun.
And then I know from my own experience, the other good thing about special ed is, I mean, not that being able to get a job is important, but there were so many jobs when I used to teach special education.
That was a big advantage, and one of the reasons I stayed in special ed, because I could get a job anywhere.
And my district gave a bonus.
Oh, that's rare, but some
so that doesn't happen anymore?
Not often, but some do.
Okay.
Some do.
Not
all of them, but some do.
So there are better job possibilities, and then I think you alluded to this, Dr. Glaeser. So like you can start out doing special education, and if you love it, stay with it. If not, like you can you do a credential where you get credentialed as a general ed general ed teacher plus a special education teacher?
We don't have a dual program. Long Beach does.
Okay.
But you can do one and then the other.
Okay.
So yeah, you can have a job.
So that's also a possibility.
When I got my credential, you had to do one.
Okay.
But actually what's coming down the pike, I don't know if it'll affect you guys, probably not, but the new credentials will be general ed, special ed trained together. They call it the common trunk, and they show this trunk of a tree.
So, and will that allow people to teach special ed and general ed?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, then you'll go into your specialty, but I don't know. We don't know how that's gonna play out, but that's
Okay.
what the state's gonna do.
Yeah.
It's gonna be interesting, and then they're gonna call the credentials mild support and moderate severe support. No mild moderate anymore. So mild support and moderate mild moderate support and significant, that's it, significant support. So the significant's gonna be the break off, and then everybody else is gonna be general ed. So how that plays out, who knows, but that won't be for about 5 years, I think, because it'll take us a while to get curriculum straightened out, I'm sure. So you'll get to get in under the old credentials. It's fun. I'm working with a master's student now who's been teaching for about 4 years, and she's talking about how their school's going toward more to co-teaching, and she's in general ed a lot more than she thought, and just, making that transition. So throughout your career, you're gonna see all these things go like this. It'll start off here, and then go backwards, and then go forward, and go backwards, and you'll say, oh, we were doing that before, why are we going this way? Because we had a dual credential before, general ed, special ed, and then there isn't any now, and then now it's gonna go back to it, so you just kind of go with the flow. It's education. Okay. Call us if you have questions.
Great, thank you.